The great Star Trek The Next Generation breakdown continues with a look at Season 4.
Welcome to DiceGeeks.com Tabletop RPG Show. Level up your RPG campaigns by filling yourself with stories and knowledge. Explore topics from archaeology to film history to writing to literature and much, much more. This is DiceGeeks.com Tabletop RPG Show.
Welcome to the show. My name is Matt, and I am your host. This is the podcast where we learn how to become better game masters and role players by filling ourselves with stories and knowledge. All right, everybody, we continue our look at Star Trek The Next Generation by taking a look at Season 4. Here it is. My guest today is writer and the host of the Geezers of the Game podcast, Ryan McHargue. Ryan, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me again.
No, absolutely. This is awesome. And so much to the pleasure of all the delirious crowds out there listening right now, we are going to continue our Star Trek The Next Generation kind of rant or breakdown, if you will. And the first two episodes are out now, where we talk about seasons 1 through 3. And the idea of the show is, I believe, with role-playing games, the more stories we've had experience with and know that just makes us better game masters and makes us better role players. So we're talking about some great stories here in Star Trek The Next Generation. We'll also get into some Star Trek rants, I'm sure, about some things. So just a couple things real quick. Anytime, I may criticize the show or something, I'm not on anybody's case. I've interviewed 3 people who've worked on the show so far. The show is great. One of the best TV shows, I think, ever, but there are it is not above criticism here and there. And it is definitely hard to make a TV show. So that I keep that in mind all the time when I start getting the itch to rail against something, because I tend to be a passionate fan sometimes. And then also I made a mistake in the last episode. I had erroneously said that Commander Riker was offered a promotion to captain in the episode Coming of Age. I think I said that. I was referring to the Icarus factor, where he is offered the command of the Ares. And so I made a mistake there. I wanted to correct that and get that out there. But we left our audience on a cliffhanger, just like the show did. So we really couldn't have worked this one out better. The 3rd season of TNG ended on this amazing cliffhanger, Best of Both Worlds Part 1. I had the longest summer of my entire life, 1990, because I just was breathlessly waiting to see what happened next, because it was such a high point of the series. They were putting, Paramount was putting money into the show. They were really kind of going all out, and it was a huge hit. And I was obsessed with Star Trek. And they left us on a cliffhanger, just like we did, Ryan. We left my audience here on a cliffhanger. Now we're back. So the 4th season begins. Best of Both Worlds Part 2 airs. Why don't you tell us a little bit? What are some of your thoughts about Season 4 here as it kicks off?
Oh, man. Season 4 is a roller coaster.
Yeah.
There is, like you said, that they did that wonderful cliffhanger there, which left all of us youngins looking forward to it and hating life because we didn't know about binge watching at that point.
Yeah, I had to set my calendar and make sure, my parents didn't want to go to Florida or something. And I was like, no, I'm watching.
We had VCRs at the point. So
yeah,
we had that.
Yeah, we did have.
Did you record the whole thing?
No, okay, this is ridiculous. I did start recording kind of right after this. When the episodes went into syndication, I did not record. I wasn't recording here, but I think somewhere around season 4 was when it went into syndication. And it was Star Trek. I believe it was 7 days a week and then 2 times on Saturday, or was it 6 times a week this time? No, I think it was 6 days a week. at this point when I went into season 4, and this is actually when I did start recording episodes. And since they were rerunning them 5 days a week during the week on our UHF channel here in St. Louis, I was able to record those. And then on Saturday nights on CBS, I started recording the other episodes. So I did get them all on VHS. So that takes me back a little bit there.
Well, at least it wasn't on beta.
No, oh gosh, beta. How old do you think I am, Ryan?
Wow. Yes. You're older than me.
Not by much. Come on now. Beta was like, I don't know what I was doing in the early 80s, man. That's too early.
That is a long time ago.
I mean, VCRs. Okay. I know. We're totally off Star Trek already. We're supposed to derail episodes with Star Trek. I was trying to
tell you what I found at the Goodwill today.
What did you find at the Goodwill?
Zip discs.
Zip discs.
You don't remember zip discs?
I think I do.
They're 100 megabyte discs, and then they had 250.
Yeah.
It had its own little drive. Yeah. Like floppy drive thing.
Yep. Yeah.
Anyways.
Okay. Yeah. We've totally derailed the podcast now on technology or whatever, but
technology. Well, we're talking about the highest technology in the world.
Yeah. Star Trek. Yeah, absolutely. So we jump into season 4. You have some thoughts on season 4. You were starting to tell us. Let's get this show going, Ryan.
I know, right? So like I said, it's a roller coaster. Yeah. There are a couple really good episodes on this season that I really love.
Yeah.
I love the way they picked it up with the second part of the cliffhanger there, the best of both worlds.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite lines of all time is sleep data, obviously, from that episode.
Yep.
But then we start to go downhill a little bit for me personally.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So this episode really focused on, the second episode of the season, I think, is family, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And it kind of took a family turn with everybody's family involved in this season, I swear.
Yeah.
Because we have Data's family, we have Tasha's family,
Worf's family,
Beverly's old friend that that whole, we'll get to that episode, but there's several of these family things that just come up through this whole season.
Yeah, Data's, it's a Worf's family.
Yeah, Worf's family.
Yeah, the whole thing. Yeah. And it is interesting too.
And of course, Keiko and O'Brien.
Yes, that's right. We get that introduction there. So it does kind of become a family theme. And of course, we get the kind of the high from Best of Both Worlds 2, and we go right into an episode called Family, where Picard goes back to Earth, and we finally learn about some of his family and his background. This is kind of interesting, right? Because this is one of the first episodes that was clearly a sequel episode, right? That it was, we were almost getting kind of a continuing show.
Right. We basically had the first part at season 3, second part, and then a third part.
Yes.
Even though they didn't label it that way with family, but it really was.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's kind of interesting here, like family, that the episode entitled Family, when I was a kid and I saw it, I didn't really like it as a follow-up too much because, there wasn't like a lot of space stuff because I was a kid. It's grown on me a little bit more now. And so I don't mind watching it occasionally now. But what has kind of happened here, not only do we get a lot of family episodes throughout this season, I think we had a tonal shift as well, right? The show is going to become way more character driven instead of plot driven. Also, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, although I think Star Trek does better when it's a plot driven show. We also had a few problems where we get some subtle retcons, like everybody's from Earth now, except for maybe Deanna Troi or something, right? We get some retcons.
Yeah, but she has a human father.
Yeah, but we
though
get
he's
some
not alive.
retcons. Now Worf's parents live on Earth. I
Yep.
guess we forgot about the farming colony of Galt. Beverly seems to be from Earth, even though she was from a failed colony.
Yes, which is dealt with later.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we'll get there and we can rant about that one. So
We'll
let's
see if
hold
we
that
get
one.
there tonight. It's really
Yeah,
what
we'll
you're
see.
trying to think.
Yeah, I don't want to keep you forever here. But so we get these subtle changes and really the show like really changes. From its plot driven beginnings and kind of action adventure to kind of introspective kind of more introspective shows. And what's kind of weird about that is like the look of the show and the special effects and the cast are perfect.
Yes,
in season 4. Like everything is perfect. The special effects, the look, the uniforms.
But they overcorrected from plot to character.
Correct.
Which 5 fixes.
Yeah.
Very well.
Yeah. And so so we get a lot of these episodes. I do want to touch on some more episodes,
definitely, because
I want to pull out some situations here that maybe we can use in games or that we could just talk about. Like I said, we get family. Another thing, family does it pretty well. So we get Picard, we get Worf, we get Worf, and we get is it Wesley, hearing from his a hologram of his dead father. Yeah. That's pretty good. But also another shift in the show is what was done really well, especially in season 1 and 2 and 3 to some degree, was that they ran multiple plot lines during each episode.
Yeah, especially with brothers.
And
family.
Yeah, and that's really good too. But as the season 4 goes on, and then even for the rest of the show, they drop that. And they really focus on like one character, even episodes where like Crusher and Troy and sometimes Riker aren't even in the show. And and to me, it was just a weird change because in season 2, there were some great episodes where they've juggled like 6 different plot lines just to make sure everybody was in the show. And so I think those couple of things really hurt the show. So I will ask you though, the episode entitled Family, do you like that one?
Okay. So as a child, no.
Yeah.
As an adult, a younger adult, I started to appreciate it more. And the older I've gotten, the more I find the what do you want to call it? Fixing of the brothers' relationship.
Yeah.
I find it very, very trite.
Yes, they have a fist fight in the mud, and then they love each other. Yeah, and then they love each other. Yeah.
That's how that works.
Yeah, apparently Gene Roddenberry was like, they won't have fist fights in the 24th century. So don't do this, but they did it anyway.
Well, I have no problem with the fist fight.
Yeah,
although they're old.
Yes,
but what I do have a problem with is that one fight fixes everything.
Yes,
because
it's very TV.
As you see later on, the relationship is completely different.
Yeah,
than what it was at that point before that fight. Yeah.
It was a very trite TV.
Yeah,
kind of.
And they could have used that and put it over time. Yeah, I think you could have. I think too.
And
the taking the Earth job thing, raising Atlantis or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just.
Yeah. I thought that was okay because they needed to give him some kind of counterpoint, right? Because after the experience with the Borg, I do think it could have been an interesting one. I think my biggest problem with the episode, the fist fight solves things too smoothly, and then they're just like loving brothers afterward.
Yeah, then they're just drunk.
Yes, and it's a little too nice and neat. I always thought it was a weird choice making Picard's brother Robert older than Picard.
I did too. Okay, so and then Renee, which I actually like that character, which I don't know why, but I really do.
Yeah,
there's something about him I like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Well, he's the dreamer, right? He's the he's the kid who wants to be in space. He's me. He's the kid who wants to be in Star Trek. Yeah,
exactly. Well, and we're not there yet, but that episode for me does two things.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's not my favorite episode,
mm-hmm.
it takes us from this gallant captain who's not gallant. What do you want to call it? Stoic
mm-hmm.
captain to having all this backstory. And then you start finding out a little bit more about him. And then with the Renee thing, you're like, okay, so he was the younger brother dreamer. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on, as we get to Tapestry and things like that, we start to see a lot more of his shift. And that I liked
mm-hmm.
overall.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
there's issues getting there.
Yeah. But I thought it was a weird choice making his brother older than him. Although I can see the dynamic a little bit. I thought it would have been a very easy dynamic between kind of the envy between them if his brother had been younger than him. Because
really? I don't know.
Talk about growing up in somebody's shadow, though, right? Like, because he was.
Do you have brothers and sisters?
I do. I have an older brother.
Okay, so are you the favorite?
I don't know. My mom listens to these episodes sometimes. I don't know if I want to get in trouble.
Oh, probably not. Oh, I have 3 older brothers that are much older than me, like 20 years or so. And I'm definitely the favorite, and I don't care if they hear this.
Okay.
But
yeah,
and because there's such a large difference between us, it never became an issue. But had we been closer in age, it's like it's that whole dynamic of the younger brother gets, it's either one extreme or the other.
Yeah.
Either the younger kid gets all the love and attention because they screwed up with the first one.
Yeah.
Or the first one is used as a babysitter and things like that.
Yeah. Or
the younger one gets nothing because they were super cautious with the first one. And they're like, that was waste of time. And then the younger one just does whatever they want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I kind of got that feeling with the dynamic that Picard was, I guess they're both Picard, but Jean-Luc was, the smart one, the one that had dreams, that everything he did was given attention and given he was the one that was worth investing in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and I can see that. It seemed like it would have almost just been a starker contrast, I guess, if his brother was younger and he had to deal, because then that almost puts Picard in makes him like an authority figure over his brother as well. Right.
Right. Which he acts like.
Yeah, which he kind of does anyway, even though his brother is older and has the family, vineyard and things like that.
Right.
But I just thought it would have been an interesting choice. That's just, me,
personal
as, kind of a personal choice. But, like I said, this episode has grown on me. It is really the only time that we get to see anything about Picard's family, right? Or anything about his background.
Yeah, that's the last.
Yeah.
Well, there's another one about it, but yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I know what you mean. But like, as far as as far as like real creation about, what his background, this is like the first time we get it, right? Because kind of like I was saying, like Riker was established from being from Alaska, Crusher from another colony, Worf from a colony, and then like I think Deanna said she was on university on Beta Z, and then of course we get Data's story. He was found on the one planet, but like we don't know if Picard grew up on Earth, like until this episode. Like we just don't even know. So
isn't there? No, because the
did he mention it somewhere else?
Let's see. Hold on. Wasn't he mentioned it? We already had the one with the Data becoming the whole thing, whether he's property. That's when they mentioned from Paris or from France.
Oh, well, yes, that he was to meet but he was going to Starfleet Academy.
Say, yeah.
Yeah, he was going to the Academy, and so he was going to meet her in that was actually the episode We'll Always Have Paris. Which was almost like a 1960s or 70s episode thrown in somehow. But yeah, where he was supposed to meet the woman at the cafe, but he stood her up to go.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know if that established he was from there, but it kind of could have. But it was more.
Now I have to watch it again.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was. I don't think they explicitly say that, but
they might not.
Yeah, because
I just thought they did.
Yeah,
I'm sure somebody will write you in comments and
yes,
say,
maybe
that guy you have on there is ridiculous. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yes, I'm making another mistake, maybe, but yeah. Well, that's another thing too, which is interesting. It seems like in first season, like some of the memories of Earth and stuff are kind of vague for them. Yeah, like it's been so long, and it was kind of vague. Like, Captain Picard like recalls the French flag, but he barely has memories of what the French flag is. Like he's read about it when he was like 6 or something.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the original series and the whole, eugenics wars was in 95 or something.
Yeah.
They kind of took that a little bit. Yeah. And sometimes they forget about it.
Yeah.
It depends on which writer we're talking about.
Yeah. And of course, not only the eugenics war, but the Third World War, which they mention quite a bit in Encounter at Farpoint, right? Because Q takes them back there. But then they just brush that aside. Like they just forget about that later on.
Well, it does come back in this this season.
Yeah.
We're not there. It's a little bit further, but
yes. Yeah. We get little hints, but we kind of forget about it for a little while.
But they didn't use that one. Even when we get to that here a little later in this season, that episode doesn't even really deal with that history so much as it's just a continuation of Q.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's correct. And now that you mentioned it, I'm looking through these episodes. Every single one of them in the 4th season has to deal with family.
Every single? Are you sure?
Of the ones I'm looking at here, the next one is Brothers, which is I really enjoy this episode. I loved it when it first came out. I still really enjoy it.
I do too.
It is Brent Spiner playing 3 roles, and you just give Brent Spiner 3 roles and let him go, and you have an amazing episode. This one,
and then the boy who nearly killed his brother.
Yeah, we have a boy
which I don't understand exactly what happened still. I mean,
he tricked.
I get it, but
they were playing. Okay, so here, let me set up the stage. We're talking probably over half the audience's heads, but hopefully go back and just watch the entire Next Gen to get the context for what Ryan and I's discussion would be. But
is this just our own personal show that we're
this is our personal show? We're just talking Star Trek. So let me set up the thing. So in this case, right, so Data has a brother, Lore, and we find out that their creator, Dr. Noonien Sung, is still alive, and he calls them to his secret base, even though we thought he was
calls
dead.
Data.
Well, he calls Data, yes, because he did not know Lore was put back together yet. Right. But then Lore shows up as well. So we have a subplot, which is showing us brothers, and it is 2 young boys who were playing, and one faked his death as they were playing with like toy guns, and he faked his death as a trick, and the other boy thought he had killed his brother, so he went and he ate a poisonous fruit because he thought he had killed his brother. And so it was a cruel joke, and now he had eaten a poisonous fruit, so he's got this parasite in him that's going to kill him unless they get him to a starbase. And so that
was it established that he did it on purpose?
Did what on purpose?
Ate the fruit?
Correct. He ate the fruit on purpose.
I guess I just always missed that.
Yeah, he ate the fruit on purpose because he thought he killed his brother. So he went and
that's
he knew
kind of a dark theme.
It is a little dark, isn't it? I mean, holy cow.
I guess I just Didn't realize how dark that is until you just said it.
Yeah, well, there's some parallels, and I think it's some very good parallels, right? Because what did Data do in Data lore? He basically killed his brother, right? He basically that was kind of a little TV trope too. We just let lore out the window, and then we just don't go after him. It's kind of a TV trope to leave the opening for him to come back, obviously. And
it's like
so
you're a bad guy escaping.
Yeah, exactly. And so Data kills his brother. So now we get these young kids who he thought he killed his brother, and then he had the reaction. And so, so they're playing on these two stories, right, of the sets of brothers. And of course, right, we get the ending where the brother, has been saved. They've got the cure, and the brothers are playing together again, and they're happy. The real brothers, the human boys, and Data again has been, almost killed. His father was killed by his brother, and his brother ran off. And Data is trying to understand, why can't I and my brother be the way these brothers are? I thought it was done very well.
Yeah. I always, for the most part, like the Data lore episodes. For the most part.
Yeah. No, they're good. And you get Brent Spiner in a dual role. That's perfect.
Yep. So when we get into Suddenly Human, what's your take on this one? Because I have mixed feelings.
Yeah. So the next episode is an episode called Suddenly Human.
That kid's name. I gotta look him up. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, he's kind of a famous child actor who played.
Yeah, he is. I just cannot remember his name.
Chad. His name is Chad something. This is a very strange episode. I didn't like it when I first saw it, and I still don't like it.
It's annoying for the most part. Chad Allen.
Chad Allen. I knew it was Chad.
You did.
Yeah, he was kind of a popular kid star there in the 80s and 90s, and I think he
was in Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman. That's what he's from.
And then he went on to be into a few movies, I think.
Other things, yeah. I don't think he's done anything major in a long time.
No, probably not.
His parents probably stole all his money. And
oh gosh, hopefully not. Hopefully he's doing fine.
Will Wheaton talks about it. Anyways.
Yeah. Will Wheaton talks about it, and it's pretty rough. I get it, but yeah, Suddenly Human. So the idea here is that a human child is raised by an alien culture, and they are trying to see if it was a good thing, and or to see if he's being abused, or see if he should be taken away and brought back to humans. And
they're showing all of these traumatic injuries on this kid.
Yeah.
And it's a whole abuse feel. Yeah. Is this child abused or not abused?
Yeah.
Does the alien father really love him?
Yeah.
Which we find out he does.
Yeah. Yeah. Surprise.
Surprise.
Yeah, I don't like this episode. It has a weird feel to it.
It does.
There was no really
glance over some things that they throw in there that are really major things, and they just over it.
Yeah, and I think they miss the whole opportunity, right? Because they don't even mention Worf was raised by a human. He was out of place in his society. I know. They don't even mention
the opposite in a human environment where he's from a tough culture.
Yeah,
but he wasn't treated that way.
Yeah, but I don't even think they mention it, right?
No, they don't. I don't even think they're.
Yeah.
I mean, Worf's in the episode.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
Yeah. Because this is one I don't watch on rewatches. I tend to skip because it's not my favorite. So, it was a very strange episode. They didn't really explore. They were more talking about kind of this moral or ethical quandary, and it just didn't work for me. So.
Oh, and then the music.
The music?
Future rock music.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
The kid is listening to music, right?
Yeah, something.
But it's different from their culture or something, right?
Yeah, it's some. I don't know. Yeah, it's some.
I can't remember because I don't
music.
Yeah,
but it's super heavy and electronic and yet rockish. I can't remember exactly what it sounds like, but they blare it.
Yeah. and sadly, yeah, I don't remember much because, like I say, I tend to skip this episode.
Well, let's skip it now.
Yeah, let's skip it. The next one again deals with family because remember me. This is like Dr. Crusher's. Everybody's disappearing out of her family or whatever. Everybody's disappearing. I thought this episode was okay. It's not one of my favorites, but I
think it was thrown together is what it feels like.
Yeah, it's obviously to be like, oh my gosh, we got to highlight Dr. Crusher some way because we haven't.
I think that's exactly what happened, and so they threw some things together, and made them fit.
Yeah, and this is just a perfect
Traveler and all of that was in this. It was just kind of
odd. And I think this is a perfect example of what I was talking about. It's like, we've totally left the idea of like 3, 4, 5, 6 different plot lines going in an episode, and we just focus like on one person. And it's not.
In fact, most of the episode you don't even really deal with the other characters.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And or we do, but they disappear.
Yes, but they disappear. I mean, it could have been an interesting idea, but I don't know. It's just, I want a plot driven show again. And this was, instead of the plot here, I mean, you have a pretty strong, interesting kind of hook, but you just don't push it, right? You don't like really hook us with some kind of, I don't know.
Anything whatsoever.
Yeah, so it just kind of goes on. So we should probably.
Sorry for those who like it.
Yeah, sorry for those who like it. It's not the worst episode by far, but it's just an odd episode, and we probably should speed up here.
I'm thinking the same thing. We got the Night Court lady.
Yeah,
the next one.
Yeah, Legacy. Right. This one deserves a little talk. I think a little consideration from Legacy. So we get the
jaded sister.
The jaded sister of Tasha Yar, who was left behind on their planet, which turned into like a Mad Max hell zone or something.
Yeah, a little bit, only in like cities and underground stuff.
Yeah, urban kind of things. Yeah. And it was pretty madness. I do like this episode. I
do too.
So this is one of the high points for me. The best part of this episode is Data at the end, like trying to come to terms with like feelings for Tasha Yar and her sister, which is some just fantastic acting by Brent Spiner, and not even like saying lines or whatever, just his physicality and like the look on his face and stuff. It's just fantastic.
Well, we've talked about this before. Brent Spiner is probably, outside of classical training, is the most gifted actor out of the whole cast.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as the way he was used.
Yeah.
Obviously, we haven't seen him in much since.
Yeah.
But
because he can do drama, he can do comedy, he can do slapstick, roll around on the ground, he can he can bring you to tears. I mean, he can do kind of
everything but the Mask episode.
Oh, okay. Don't.
We're not there, though.
Yeah, we're not there. And then another episode we can talk about a little bit, and then we can skip some because I don't like. Reunion is always a powerful episode here. This is where Kalar, Worf's, I guess, fiance, girlfriend.
Well, she didn't take the oath, and yet he lies and says that she was his maid.
Yeah. Well,
which
I think
is not very Klingon.
Yeah, well, I think they were mates, but...
Well, no, because she wouldn't take the oath.
Yeah, well, I think there's a distinction. It was like she's not his wife, but they were mates. I think there's a little bit of a distinction there.
Oh, maybe you're right. I guess I just always thought that he lied.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of a distinction. And what you're talking about is at the end, because Kalar is killed in this episode. We also we get introduced to Doros, and we get some of these big politics that kind of start swirling around.
Well, we've already been introduced to Doros.
Oh,
with the discommodation.
Oh, right. The sins of the father.
And that's why this episode has two pieces to it. And everything to do with Worf, I liked.
Yeah.
Everything to do with Picard, I didn't. Personally, I thought it made no sense whatsoever. I understand what they were saying in the episode, why Kim Peck chose him, blah, blah, blah. But I also think it's stupid. Because that wouldn't happen.
Yeah, well,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, because Picard is chosen as the arbiter of succession for the Klingon Empire. Of course, you need the Enterprise there, right? So you can have Worf.
You had to have some reason.
Yeah, so you can get them there. I think it was interesting. I mean, that is, and it does pull Picard into the story, and I mean, but it would seem almost like you would need an ambassador or like a secretary of state or foreign secretary kind of position to pull off something like that.
Yeah, that would not go to
the
flagship captain. You wouldn't go to a captain at all.
Yeah, exactly. But we do it because it's a TV show and we get them pulled in. Some of the things, here again, this goes to my point too. Like, I don't even think like Troy is in this episode. Like, we're not balancing episodes anymore, right? This is like a Worf episode.
Is Troy in this episode?
Yeah, I don't believe she shows up. I don't even believe she's in there. She
would be.
Yeah, of course she would.
Majorly.
Because she needs to act as like Picard's attaché and help him handle negotiations. But I don't think she's in this episode at all. I watched it.
Right.
I watched it last year, so it's been about a year since I watched it. But so I don't think she's in it at all. And like, it's very Worf focused. And this is, I think I mentioned the last time too, this is, the show really starts to skew like Worf heavy. Like really Worf heavy, which is awesome because I love Worf. Also Data
especially
heavy.
Back then, I really loved it.
Oh yeah,
and he's starting to get longer hair, which made me happier. He didn't have the Dorothy Hamill bob anymore.
Oh gosh, I did them killing Kalar.
Oh, that was rough.
It was really rough because the actress who plays her is awesome.
I know.
And
I can't remember her name right this minute.
Susan.
Yes.
Platt.
No. Something. It's a P.
It's a P. Yeah. I'd have to look it up, but she was phenomenal.
But yes,
in this, I get why. I mean, it was a shock value, but of course they do it so you don't have to add another cast member to your show, right? You can get another salary.
But they wouldn't
in there.
have to.
I know, but that's the way they thought back on TV back then.
They wanted to bring in this whole kid thing, and I have no problem with the Alexander stuff. I really don't. And actually, back then he was so stinging adorable. But you know,
and so Worf, his son comes. She didn't tell him that they had a son together, and she wants to get Plaxton. That's right. And she wants to get married now. But now Worf is like, oh, I've been discommoded. And she's like, I don't care. I grew, I'm half human and I've been among humans. I don't care. But Doros kills her. And man, that was rough because Kalar is awesome. And, in my alternate timeline, she's still alive and happily married to Worf because she was awesome.
Although they did a couple things with this episode that I think was super important for the whole Klingon. So we go back to the first season with the two Klingons. It's called
Heart of Glory.
Heart of Glory, yeah. And they do the death deal. Mm-hmm. He does it here too.
Yes.
And it's continued through the rest of the show. But that continuation of keeping something the same, so good.
Yes.
And they don't do that with everything, but they did with the Klingon stuff for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that.
Yeah. They got a little, although they do get a little softer here and there, like the Heart of Glory. Those guys were wild, right? Those guys were Klingons and they get a little softer.
Well, those Klingons were taken more from the original Klingons.
Yeah.
The human fusion Klingons, I guess we're calling them.
From the old FASA role-playing game. Yeah.
Yeah. But much more traitorous and that kind of way.
Yeah.
But then they kind of kept that and then they get rid of it. And then later during the whole war, the succession war thing.
Yeah.
You see them beating heads and fighting together and all that,
Yeah.
So,
But this was a good episode. There was a lot to work here. There's a lot in this episode. I do agree. The arbiter of succession, Picard being that is a little funny. But it gets Worf back in here. And so we can deal with Worf and Doros and
right.
Yeah. And and introducing, Worf having a son, I thought was really cool, honestly.
I did too.
Because most everybody in the bridge crew is like frozen in time, right? They're career officers. They don't have family, immediate families.
Other than Wesley, and he was
than Wesley. Yeah. And so I think it was good to see some of that growth here. I thought it was a nice choice. You don't kill Kalar though, so I'm still not too happy with that.
I understand why they did it and everything, and I can accept it sometimes, but yeah.
But then Worf, kills Doros, and so we're cool.
Yes, Doros needed to die.
Oh, he did. But yeah, so then we get this big arc, right, with Worf, and we really get that. And
then from the high point, we go downhill.
We go downhill. We actually do, because there are a number of episodes.
Imperfect is just.
It's run of the mill. It
wasn't very good.
Yeah,
and the same thing with Final Mission.
Final Mission, it's sad because we're getting Wesley leaving, but the episode is not great.
No, it's really not great at all.
Yeah, it's just it's kind of it's a little TV tropey and
very TV tropey.
Yeah. I mean, I still like some. There are parts of it I kind of like, but then the old captain.
The bonding.
Yeah.
And there's the showing that Wesley's now maturing.
Yeah.
He's able to do things that, this other guy is ridiculous and so campy as far as ridiculousness goes.
Yeah. So then
it's rough, but there's pieces.
Yeah, there was a bit. And then we kind of keep going down.
The loss.
The loss, yeah. I mean, it wasn't terrible, but again, it's just Troy. It's a Troy focused episode, but it's like we're not exploring anything anymore. They're not
exploring the character in any way that's meaningful.
Yeah, exactly.
My personal opinion.
Yeah,
it was very surface level.
Yeah, very.
And they made her look like she was, very
selfish and
self-absorbed.
Yeah, actually, it's all me. It's just my fault. It's all happening. Why does it happen to me? Yeah. And you're just like, I think Deanna, her character would have shown her being more selfless, right?
That's what I think. I mean, she still had all the training. Mm-hmm. I understand what they were trying to say, and okay.
Yeah. Oh, in the loss, for listeners, she loses her empathic ability. So
which was
temporarily,
and it was really dumb the way she lost it too. But.
Yeah. I think they said actually she had wondered if they were writing her out of the show. And she was like, are you writing me out? Marina Sirtis was like, are you writing me out of the show? And they're like, no, we'll give you an episode. And so they gave her an episode because
which sucked.
We just don't see her very much in season 4. It's kind of weird.
Honestly, the best episodes with her is with Majel Barrett. That's it.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah.
I know some people
find.
Yeah, Data's Day.
You either love it or you hate it. I love it most of the time.
I really enjoyed it when I was a kid. I was so Data obsessed. And then the last time I watched it, like last year, I was just like, nothing much happens. It's
just Data exploring humanity.
Yeah. And
that's all that's happening.
Yeah. And so it's not terrible, and it's Brent Spiner, so it's kind of fun. But it's not the best episode for me. And we really do need to speed up if we're going to talk
I know. I
about
think it's the same thing. The Wounded.
I don't like this
great,
episode.
But O'Brien, I didn't like the way they had him acted out.
I don't like this episode at all.
And it was just really dumb. And then what's his face that plays the captain? I can't remember his name right this minute.
Mark.
He's been in so many things.
Yeah, he plays Gul Dukat and all this stuff. Mark Al. It's something with an AL. Mark.
Yeah, I'm not going to look him up. It's not worth it. Devil Due is just so stupid.
Yeah, Devil's Due is weird. I mean, it could have been okay, but no. But actually, I think Devil's Due was one of Roddenberry's scripts for Star Trek Phase 2?
I think it was. Or it was partly something to do with it.
Yeah, something like that. It's just
remember exactly.
not all that great.
No.
No.
Clues.
I
like. Okay, you move on to Clues. I like Clues.
Clues is okay.
But I think the highlight of the second half of this is really First Contact. I enjoyed First Contact. It had levity and some depth to it.
Yeah. First Contact is an interesting episode. So Riker is like, this actually starts a theme. Riker's like going insane or losing his mind in a whole bunch of episodes. And so, he was on a First Contact mission. So he's
Riker's kind of used as a plot device pretty much from this point on.
Yeah, almost.
I mean, there's a couple things he's not, obviously.
Yeah. So he's undercover in an alien world, and he's been surgically altered to look like them, but he has an incident where he loses his memory, and so it turns into kind of a nightmare thing. And yeah, First Contact is all right.
Yeah, and then he makes love with a alien, which is actually played by Fraser's wife from
BB Newworth. Yeah.
From Cheers and Frasier.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great episode in many ways. It has some campiness, but I can look past it.
Yeah, it's not bad. Galaxy's Child. I part of me wants to like it, but it's a little weird. It's a little weird.
Creepy. This is when you really start to see Geordi creepy.
Yeah, because he has fallen in love with the Leah Brahms on the holodeck. Now she shows up, and of course the twist is she's married, and he doesn't know that, and so he's trying to like romance her, and it's weird. And then
he sees her, or she sees the
hologram,
which is weird, but
and then
creepy.
Night Terrors.
Yeah,
it's a weird episode, mostly famous for the one moon circles, eyes in the dark, one moon circles kind of thing. Nothing much to say here. Yeah, we really do need to move on. Identity Crisis, don't like it.
Nope.
Nth Degree was okay, but not great. Cupid. So we get a return of Q and Cupid, and it's funny, but it's not really that great of an episode.
Not really worth anything. Drumhead is so irritating.
Drumhead is a terrible episode. I don't like it. Half a Life is kind of wasted.
Yeah.
Although Troy and her mom, I know people think she's annoying.
Good.
I thought it was
okay. Always good.
Yeah.
But
the whole plot centering around it is just not any good.
No. The whole killing old people.
Yeah. The great David Ogden Stiers is a guest star in this one, but he is great. He was from MASH and from Stargate Atlantis, later in Stargate Atlantis. But
there's really not much from this season I would call out for role playing. Tell you the truth. There's
a few situations I think going undercover in another society could be interesting, like you mentioned from First Contact. Some of the family elements, you could do that if you're playing a kind of an emotional game.
That's a specific type of game too.
The next few episodes.
The Host, Mind's Eye, all of these ones are stupid.
They aren't very good. I have to agree.
In Theory is so dumb, and yet I want to like it.
I kind of feel the same way because Data gets a girlfriend, and it should be good, but it's not. It's not all that great. No, and then Redemption is pretty cool because we get the tie up to Worf. So this was a pretty good high point here.
Actually, it was probably one of the saving graces of this whole season. Yeah.
But Kalar is still dead, and I am still not happy about it. But it was a good episode. Worf kind of, he leaves Starfleet and joins the Klingons and fights with Gowron and his brother Kern, and some really cool stuff happens. I mean, Kern's awesome, Gowron's awesome, Worf's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's just great. Well, now we get to season 5, and we probably should speed up. But what else we get? We get a reveal in Redemption. We get a reveal of Sela.
Denise that felt bad that she left. Wanted back in.
We get a reveal of Denise Crosby. We're bringing her back as Sela, as a Romulan, half human, half Romulan, who was a result of the time twisting in yesterday's Enterprise, and we get her character back.
Which I don't like her character for the most part. I understand it and it's well done. I just don't connect with it.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, that cliffhanger when she walked out of the shadows and Junction
cool.
Point 1, that was super cool. I was like, I kind of just like my jaw just kind of dropped and I was like, oh, what? But it's a, I think the worst part of her character is, of course she should have only been like 22 years old or something, but still, the worst part of her character is her end to the character, which comes in, is it in this season 5, which by meaning there is no end to her character. they just never reference her again, which is kind of sad.
It's stupid. It's super stupid. Yeah. It's like, haha, here's a major cliff or a major twist, and let's forget about it.
All right, there you have it, guys. That was a look at season 4 of TNG. Don't worry, Ryan will be back. We talk for 3 hours about seasons 4 through 7. So there will be a couple more episodes coming. I hope you enjoy them. As always, there are links in the show notes for this episode at dicegeeks.com, so you can check out Ryan's podcast and his writing as well. Please, please, please do that. Also, if you want some free stuff, head over to dicegeeks.com/free. If you would like to support the show in some way, you can like, rate, review, and subscribe. If you want to support the show financially, which would be amazing, please head over to patreon.com/dicegeeks. All right, now, guys, thank you so much for listening. And until next Wednesday, keep gaming.